Earlier this week, in his new book, Raman Ude talked about the fact that while he was interviewing Donald Trump for his new book, Apprentice in Wonderland, Donald Trump talked about the time when he met Joan Rivers, legendary comedian and actress, when she was on the second season of Celebrity Apprentice. And Trump mentioned that he didn't know if she was a Republican or not. He thinks she was, but he said for certain she definitely voted for him in the election based on what she said. Like, that's what Trump said. Like, she voted for me based on what she said. Now, the only problem with that, of course, is that Donald Trump was first on the ballot in 2016 and Joan Rivers passed away in 2014, more than 2 years before that election. So there's no possible way she could have told him that she voted for him. And for some reason, this claim that Donald Trump made of dead people voting for him was overlooked by most of the media, but not by late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel. Kimmel saw this report and decided to take Donald Trump to task in one of his monologues this week, saying, quote, "So he's right, dead people are voting. Maybe she voted with a Ouija board. I don't know." He also seemed to think that he still had some foreign policy powers, Kimmel continued. And then he talked about how, in the book, Ude mentions that Donald Trump at one point during their interview in May of 2021, after he was no longer president, Trump said, I have to go upstairs and deal with the Afghanistan. And yes, that's how he said it, the Afghanistan. So Kimmel jumped on that as well, saying, that's got to be his code word for the toilet, right? Like, I got to go make the Afghanistan. But then Kimmel actually hinted at something that I think has been really overlooked by most of the media. You see, we have talked a lot, and media now, of course, is picking up on the fact that Donald Trump is clearly declining mentally. Like, there's something definitely different about him today than there was 4 years ago. But if the mental decline only started when he got out of office, then that means that all those horrible, ridiculous things he did that before his brain was complete and total mush. Kimmel points out, if Trump is only now showing signs of dementia, then what was his excuse for everything in the years before? It's very scary to think that the guy who was telling us to inject bleach into our veins is just now deteriorating mentally. That would mean that when he was drawing in Sharpie on the weather maps, he was fine. Right? I mean, that's a valid argument, right? If we're only hearing about his mental decline now, if he's only just now showing, as mental health experts tell us, signs of either dementia or Alzheimer's, was he normal when he told us to inject the bleach? Was he normal when he drew on the Sharpie or with the Sharpie on the hurricane forecast map? I mean, those are valid questions. Like, if that's normal Trump, then how bad is demented Trump going to be if he gets back into office? And as usual, I love when Jimmy Kimmel or any of the other late night hosts do this because, again, they're talking to crowds that are not tuning in for political news. The majority of Americans do not watch political news on YouTube. They do not watch cable news. They do not consume any kind of political news throughout the day. So the people tuning into Kimmel are not necessarily the ones that are also, watching this channel. So he is speaking to an audience that likely had not heard any of this, educating them and entertaining them at the same time. And that, as I always say, is the big power and, of course, the huge benefit of these late night comedians taking on these real world issues, educating people that otherwise may not have heard about these incidents. Hey everybody, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we are closing in on a pretty major milestone here at Fair and Balanced as we approach 500,000 subscribers. But we're not there yet, and we definitely need your support. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, like and comment on the videos and share them as widely as possible.